Conseco Fieldhouse, site of the Big Ten championship game. Steve Alford, formerly Mr. Indiana basketball back in 1983. Here's the lineup. He sends to the floor Erek Hansen, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. Brunner, Haluska, Henderson, corner. Only Hansen, not Iowa born. He's from Texas. There's Thad Matta, and he was raised about an hour and 45 minutes from Indianapolis, just across the state line in Illinois, in Hoopeston. And here's the team he's directing today. Dials, the Player of the Year, Sylvester, Sullinger, Foster, who has to find his shot, and Jamar Butler. This game brought to you in HD TV by Harris Corporation, the world leader in broadcast systems for high-definition television and mobile media. Ed Hightower, Ted Hillary, Donnie Gray, the officials with Mike Sanzier, the standby referee, getting the assignment for the big one in the Big Ten.
Jim, both of these teams have been to the championship of the Big Ten tournament twice. But in the case of Iowa, they've been coached by Steve Alford, where he has one championship, and he really is getting to be the man of history in the Big Ten tournament. 12-5 all time. Pretty impressive record in a league like this.
And his team rallied from an 11-point deficit early yesterday to Michigan State to make it here to the final. While Ohio State held on against the Indiana Hoosiers, beat them by one, and Sullinger take away the basket. That's an offensive foul.
We saw yesterday on the part of all four teams, terrific defense when a man tries to penetrate, people going over and drawing the charge. Brunner got there. Everybody gave up their body yesterday, and you can expect today with so many seniors playing their last Big Ten game that they are going to be throwing it on the floor as well.
A couple of low-scoring affairs yesterday. Will we have more of the same today? Here's Henderson with the three. And look at that, rattles in, out, off the backboard, and in for a three. An 11-point comeback by the Hawkeyes yesterday, tying their season best. And they put up the first points of this one.
Henderson, double-figure score yesterday, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, very solid.
Dials short on the bank. And Brunner, the Big Ten leader in rebounds, pulls that one away.
One of the things that helps against a guy like Dials is that Brunner does not have to guard him. Henson, the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, will.
Corner off the mark. Dials sweeps, clears Ohio State.
So that puts Brunner in a position to be the secondary rebounder. Henson's job is to keep Dials off the boards when it goes up. And a key, Jim, is the man right here with the ball, Foster. He has got to start hitting some shots for this team. Having a terrible tournament. Beautiful move.
That's Dials flipping over the shoulder for the basket. And Foster, Billy, 0 for 14 in this tournament from 3.
We're talking about a man, before he's been into this slump, was 21 for 27 the previous 4 games. He is now 7 for 52 from 3. 14% from a guy that was one of the top 3-point shooters in the country.
Hard to imagine. Sylvester puts up a 3, all net.
Now, one of the big advantages that Ohio State has is Sylvester can step outside. Who does that take 20 feet from the basket? Brunner. Big advantage when you take the #1 rebound in the league away from the hoop.
Haluska rejected by Dial, sends it into the first row.
Dial's not a huge shot blocker. That's only his 32nd block on the year, which is kind of surprising when you consider his dominance inside.
There's Sylvester reaching in.
Sylvester has an advantage if Brunner's going to play that far from the basket. Dials doesn't worry too much about Hansen, but Hansen had some pretty solid games so far in the tournament. Obviously, his shot blocking is very special.
Brunner, that was a 2-point try, rattling out. Foster stuck underneath. Dials with 4 Hawkeyes around him. No basket. Foul first.
Good hands by the big guy inside. Even in traffic, was able to get himself together. I really thought it was kind of a continuation, didn't you, Jim?
That was awful close. A big battle for it inside. That's called on Henderson of Iowa.
There's that zone out-of-bounds situation. Everybody with their back to the passer, but they have their eyes on him so that they're not going to have it thrown off the back.
Sylvester puts it up and gets another one to go. He's got 5 of the 7. Haluska steps up and hits the shot. He hasn't exactly, like Foster on the other side, he hasn't exactly found his shot here in Indianapolis.
No, he hadn't, but in the game that they played, and they only played one time this year, Iowa won at Iowa. Haluska had 6 of 13, 18.7 rebounds. So he had a very solid performance against Ohio State. Good recovery by Henderson.
Sylvester, and he's got Hansen on him.
Uh-oh, Henderson got hit knee to knee.
What a tip in right over Brunner.
Hey, Henderson's okay, but he got knee to knee on that contact with Sylvester. Looks like he's running it off.
Brunner drives and foul first. Called on Sylvester. What a tip that was.
What was so great about that tap-in is that he did not get called for going over the back. He kept himself clear of body contact and still had the soft touch. That was left-handed too, I believe.
He was.
Referees realizing how much tension will be in this game. I realize both of these teams are going in the NCAA tournament, and Jim, you made a good point. Ohio State may be still fighting for a #1 seed, but to know as a senior you have a chance to go out as a champion is very special.
And it's Butler coming away with it. Yeah, are they in fact on that line right now, or is it Memphis? We'll find out later today with the exclusive first announcement. Here's Foster's first launch. Still can't find it.
But he is aggressively taking it.
And Iowa, look at this. The two collide, Hansen and Henderson. It'll come back to the Buckeyes after the break. Sylvester hits a couple of shots. Buckeyes with a quick lead. Countdown, 2 hours, 20 minutes. Are you ready?
Absolutely, James.
And so are the Bruins and the Great Danes. Going to the dance for the first time. Congratulations.
Vermont not in there for the first time in, what, 3 years?
Yep, Albany
beat them
in the final, and Vermont was under 500 on the season, but almost pulled off the upset to make it back to the tournament.
Here you see the 2-3 zone matchup on the out of bounds. Foster keeps shooting. Matter of fact, I was really impressed with coaches as he came to the sideline that timeout. He had missed a 3, and they just kept patting him on the back, saying, just put him up there. Anybody as good a three-point shooter as he's been all year long, 41% on the year, and was much higher before he went in the slump. He's the kind of guy you want to put up some shots.
Gonna need him in the tournament next week. Brunner tipped out by Hansen. Back to Brunner to keep it going for the Hawkeyes. And Brunner will go to the line. We talked about Albany and Belmont. How about the teams that had to win 4 in their conference tournament to make it? And then Syracuse, what a special performance. What a week. Xavier and Hampton also pulling off that feat.
That's the first time ever in the Big East tournament that somebody seeded #9 worked their all the way through there. Joey McNamara with one of a legend that will remain forever in that league. You know, you go to New York City, not on the bubble even, and all of a sudden lead your team all the way through there. A great accomplishment for a senior that's been so important to that program. Jim, who ever forget what he did in the first half in the Final Four championship game for Syracuse?
6 threes in that championship game, but it was fascinating to see a guy fighting for his tournament life and hitting those big ones. And underneath, that's going to be on Brunner.
Well, a guy who's familiar with what it takes to get 4 games to get to the championship is back in Steve Alford. Remember that tremendous run with Luke Recker and Reggie Evans after they had won back in 01 and 02. They went from a #9 seed just to Syracuse, but then they ran into a real problem. A team called Ohio State that year and lost in the finals. That was a Jim O'Brien team that played so well together throughout the course of that weekend.
That was on this floor 4 years ago. They've been alternating sites in the Big Ten tournament since it began. Chicago and Indianapolis. Next year back to Chicago. Then they're going to name a permanent site. Actually, this summer they're going to say we're going to settle in at one place. Both cities making presentations in the last couple of weeks. It'll be Chicago or Indianapolis for 5 in a row. Got to be done. Yes, it is. Hansen.
That's a great move right there. Dials picked up a cheap foul again, and Hansen did exactly the right thing. Take it to the basket for the dunk. If Dials goes up, the only way he's going to stop him is fouling. Very good move.
Giles takes the jumper. And Horner comes in for the board. Setting up Haluska from the corner, and that is a three.
Now, Haluska, as I said, had an excellent game against Ohio State at Iowa. Horner setting everybody up. Horner, as a matter of fact, was 0 for 8 in that game. And so far today, he hasn't gotten off many shots either. Butler right on it.
And that's going to be on Hansen with the hold. So, Horner, you talked about his offense. He gets the assist here. And he gets another one to Haluska. That's why he's the all-time man in Iowa history when it comes to distribution.
Now you see that head up, good passing, and there was the key play right there. Hansen was not in any way intimidated by Dials coming his way. Good move by the big man.
So a 7-1 stretch for the Hawkeyes to take the lead. Butler's open.
Not hitting again today from the outside is Ohio State. In that ball game, that first game, they were 9 for 24 from 3. Obviously an important part of their game other than going inside the Dials.
Brunner in the paint and travel.
And Jim, you know who has not really gotten untracked right away today is Sullinger, who yesterday put this team on his back in both halves to basically be the entire offense.
19 points yesterday, 13 rebounds as the Buckeyes beat Indiana.
Will Foster take another one? He needs one to go. He just can't get it to drop.
Stroke looks pretty good today.
Yeah, his shot looks good, and he's playing really aggressive defense. His legs don't look tired at all, but he just cannot get a shot to drop.
Now 0 for 17 in the Big Ten tournament from 3. Haluska trying to create,
no place to go.
And Lewis almost came away with it. Brunner, 3. And Lewis all over the place, coming off the bench.
Lewis, a tremendous offensive threat coming off that bench.
Butler on the drive, well done.
A little bit too easy. Oh, Horner not paying attention. Sullinger, great quickness.
That was his first attempt of the game. It comes off the steal. You beg for Sullinger's presence to be felt. There it was.
And what was so great about that, from a Sullinger standpoint, was his hustle. And from an Iowa standpoint, the lack of talking by the inbounds passing.
They made 2 errors, Iowa, at that end of the floor. One time they had the 2 battling for it, went out of bounds. And there's Lewis again, skying. Corner shuts down baseline on Foster.
Oh, there's that lob.
Dials lost control of it, and it's going to be on Dials.
That's his second, and I don't believe that Thomas got there in time, but that is going to be Dials' second. Didn't like the call at all there, Jim. But a good job by Thomas, the #1 6th man in the Big Ten, used that body and gave it up. Dials will have to sit.
And they bring back in Sylvester, and Lewis, who didn't start the game, stays on the floor. So Brunner's also out, Hansen out, and Doug Thomas, 23 on the floor for Iowa. Alex Thompson, #5.
Steve Alford talking to Brunner there, and I would guess that he's talking to him about why are you taking the outside shots. He'd love to have him on the floor right now. Illegal screen. He'd love to have him on the floor right now because Sylvester would have to match up with him in the low post. It would be a big advantage to Iowa. But both big men for Iowa on the bench, but not in foul trouble like Ohio State's key man, Dials, with 2 fouls early.
That one's called on Thompson, who had just entered the game for Iowa.
One of the things Foster may think about is trying to penetrate some and get to the foul line. If you're having trouble shooting, he'll elevate.
Sullinger with the left hand. He's got some quickness and an outside shot.
And he has an unbelievable vertical leap, Jim, under control. So he just blows right on by you and then takes off up into the air.
Last 6 points to Ohio State.
The top defenders in the league, Foster, right on Haluska.
And Sylvester.
And check.
It's his second. We'll be right back. is a scoring race that will not only, well, look at it right here, continue during the NCAA tournament, but the stats do count in the tournament games, but leading to a Final Four as the NCAA leading scorer, is that something you want?
Well, it's only happened one time in the history. 1952, Clyde LaVellette was the national scoring champ and also led his team to the national championship. Oscar Robertson was twice there in the Final Four. His team lost both times, and remember what happened then when he graduated. Cincinnati goes to the Final Four and beats this very Ohio State team and wins 2 national championships in a row, but they were without Oscar Robertson.
Haluska knocking down a second 3 of this game for the Hawkeyes.
Isn't it interesting how some players feel good in the matchups against certain teams? Haluska had that big game, as I mentioned before, that Iowa beat Ohio State. Horner did not shoot well in that game and hadn't been able to get anything off in this one.
Dials and Sylvester both out of the lineup for the Buckeyes with 2 fouls. They brought in Harris, number 3. And there's far it is. There it is indeed.
A good follow-through that he had on that shot. That makes him now 8 for 56. We're talking about a man who made 12 in a row at one point this season.
Horner,
flat shot.
Long board to Sullinger.
Ooh, Lewis was looking for the lob pass.
One more time.
Oh, all of a sudden, does that change the complexion of this team? And look at Thad Motto over there. I really compliment his coaching staff. As he missed his first 3 at the timeout, as I mentioned before, they put their arms around him and said, keep shooting the shots.
Thomas on the drive and Foster on the push. His first basket in 52 minutes, and then he backs it up with a real deep 3. That's Dials, who's on the bench. With a basket inside and a block. And then the fouls.
Jim, in that first game, Dials had 16 points and 8 rebounds. You look over for Brunner, it was almost a complete standoff. Brunner had 17 points and 9 rebounds, so that was not the key to the ball game. The key to that ball game was Haluska.
Tony Freeman in for Iowa. He'll inbound, number 11. By the way, Sullinger now with 2 fouls also. He's still on the floor.
Nice turn. Brunner wanted that basket. He is so tough to handle down that low post, and Steve Alford told him when he went over to the bench, I want you in the low box.
Bubble teams. Which ones are in? Which ones are out? What do you think?
Out of that group right there, I think UAB is in. With that record they have in a win over Memphis, it's probably going to be on that one line.
The last foul on Harris of Ohio State is first. I think Cincinnati and Seton Hall, people were talking 9 Big East.
Well, after you saw what Syracuse did this weekend with those 4 wins against that kind of competition, Cincinnati, where they won just getting by that ball game, a victory over Connecticut. Pitt team, which is extremely difficult to play against. You've got to say, hey, these are teams that beat Syracuse. How much of a bubble can they be on? That league will be setting history today with the most bids ever.
Sullinger on the drive. But you know one thing about that, when you go to 16, that's, you know, I mean, they brought in so many teams from Conference USA.
Good teams, big programs.
So and that's one of the reasons why people are going to be talking up to 9, but that's a little misleading, I think. And this ball is going to stay with the Hawkeyes. And I can't wait to see, though, come selection time when the brackets are revealed, how they'll distribute those bids, including to the mid-majors. And Missouri Valley will be the real conference to check out. How many will they put in? They've got such high standing in the computer. And yet you look at their non-conference performances, and it leaves you a little baffled. That's Brunner with the basket.
And right now, with Dials on the bench and Sylvester on the bench, Ohio State has no answer for Brunner. And Iowa's doing the right thing, getting in the ball in the low box and letting him take over.
Foster back out high, and Harris will take the 3. Rattles out.
Oh, how about Sullinger? All by himself.
They lost it out of bounds.
1 against 3 on that rebound effort. Sullinger almost pulled it off. An explosive wing player.
Yes, he is. Arkansas transfer who came back home to Columbus. Been fighting some back problems on and off during this season, but what a contributor to this Great season for the Buckeyes, who started the preseason not even in the top 25.
Oh, good steal.
Foster has it. Haluska trying to defend. Here comes Sullinger trailing. Whistle first. Will they count the basket?
I think so. They haven't signaled yet, but I think so. Yes.
Count it. Yep.
Oh! There was Foster almost got hit in the eye on the very strong signal that the basket counted. This is a good steal by Foster. He carried the ball there. You saw it on his hip. But without question, that basket should count.
That one on Henderson, his second for the Hawkeyes. And the lead suddenly 8 for Ohio State, looking for one more.
Really a key here now is for Brunner's offense to negate the quickness that Ohio State has on the floor. Sullinger able to play almost anybody from a position standpoint on defense. Right back in.
Kick, and Iowa will retain possession. Hawkeyes found themselves down in the first half yesterday to Michigan State, down 11, came back to win.
And Jim, how about the job Butler's been doing on Horner? Horner hasn't been able to really score any. Had no field goals in the first game. There's that soft touch again.
And Brunner muscling his way for a basket. He's got 7.
Now, with 8-14 and you're Thad Matta, as long as you have this working margin, you don't worry about bringing back either one of your two big men. You just have to hope you steal some minutes here, because you know Brunner's going to take over on the offensive end of the floor for Iowa.
Sullinger clamped down by Brunner.
Good clear out. Sullinger says, I can take this big man.
And a whistle first. They say he palmed it. They say he carried it. Starting to see that call made more often. Breaking the action in Indy.
Jim, here we see a real nice clear out by Iowa. What that sets up is a little pick and roll situation right here. When it happens, Hansen goes back inside. The ball gets thrown right into him. And what is really important here is that Dials did not foul on this one. This would have been his 3rd. There goes Dials. He gets there a little too late. Now here we see the palming violation. Watch Sullinger carry the ball and then brings it right back over. Officials all over it there. Proper call.
Point of emphasis this year.
Brunner outside. Here's a back screen. They're just trying to set him up in a low post. He and Horner, a little two-man game.
Freeman still on the floor. Left open. Open 3 and delivering it.
It was interesting. Lewis right there was trying to help out, knowing the ball was going to get inside. Gave a little bit too much room for Tony Freeman.
Ohio State shot a season low yesterday, 32% thanks to that Indiana defense. Today, 55%. And Foster, 3 in a row perhaps? No.
Not a good shot. I really think that Ohio State now should go to Sullinger. He's got Brunner on him. He can take him outside and go by him on a dribble.
Henderson got his little screen, a little help from Brunner, who picks up the offensive glass and backs it home.
What's happening right there, Harris did not help out at all on Henderson. He got the screen and it made Foster get picked off completely. Right now, this is a nice chess match going on because of the matchups.
Butler on the fly and gets it to go. Ends a 5-point run by the Hawkeyes.
Harris down inside with his hands full. You can see Sullinger trying to help out.
Warner. And underneath.
Said the ball went over the top of the backboard, Jim.
Yep, and it's going to go back to Ohio State. Look at Nevada with 10 straight at the end of the season, improving their seed. Well,
every one of those teams have one of the things that the committee looks for. That last 10 games and all of those extremely positive. 2 in a row.
Yep, he makes them both.
From the top of the key, nobody helping out whatsoever. Iowa really trying to set up Brunner inside. A little late on the pass.
Harris coming around but knocks it out. Good attempt at the steal there.
Brunner does a great job setting down and using that wide body of his to get position inside. Haluska back into the ball game, was off to a pretty good start.
And Dials continues to sit, so does Sylvester.
Well, Thad Matta doesn't have much choice, Jim. He's got a working margin here of 6 points, and it's been 6-8. They both have 2 fouls on him. He'd like to just steal minutes here as long as he could and not have to put in. If either one comes in the second half, the rest of this half, I think it'll be Sylvester.
They have kept Sullinger on the floor with 2, meanwhile, and they're reviewing to see the clock. Does it merit a new 35?
Well, I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. I don't think Harris ever had possession of the ball. I think that should go back down to the 20 seconds that were on the shot clock before he touched it. He never got team possession.
I agree.
We're at 24. Watch this. It gets down to about 20. He doesn't have possession here.
No, that's not a change of possession.
I think it should be at the 20.
The shot clock will be reset to 20 seconds.
There you go.
There you go. You know, you were talking a little while ago about Ohio State still thinking it's in the running for a 1 seed. You have to think that 4th and final 1 seed is a debate between Memphis's credentials, winners of the Conference USA regular season and tournament, and Ohio State, winners of the regular season and going for the double here today. But the Big Ten, the highest rated conference in that ever quirky computer we keep talking about. 5 on the shot clock.
Not a good set here by Iowa.
Corner. Almost got it to drop. And Sullinger pulls away with it.
That was poorly done by Iowa. They had 20 seconds to get the ball low to Brunner, and they didn't do it.
Haluska on the outside with the push off. So others would even say, well, what about Texas playing Kansas in the Big 12 final, or Gonzaga, which, well, 27-3 on the year is a possible one. What do you think?
Well, Gonzaga and Memphis will have held against them their overall conference. But both of those teams played all comers back in November, December, and they really held their own against anybody. That Michigan State Gonzaga and that Connecticut Gonzaga game were 2 of the best games of the entire year. So, but it will be the kind of thing in terms of the next 2.5 months would probably be held against them. I think they'll both have very high seeds and be tough outs in the NCAA tournament.
Haluska made 2 of those, not this time. Sullinger and Freeman comes over, and they get tangled.
Now Sullinger has that little tape on his eye from yesterday, getting in a little bit of an elbow situation.
He'd probably tell you it's not so little.
Now, he took a pretty good pop yesterday. He is so quick getting to the ball.
Tony Freeman, it's his first and the 7th.
So the foul on Freeman, his first. I think they're getting back to that. It's 1-1, by the way, for Sullinger. Getting back to that 4th coveted #1 spot. You got to think it's Memphis or Ohio State, and leaving Texas and Gonzaga on the outside. What do you think?
I would go along with that, and the reason for that, you know, Texas had their opportunity against Duke. Remember that early in the year when they were 1-2? Duke
wasn't pretty
good hurting on them. Then Tennessee went down there and beat them at Texas. They do have that terrific win against Villanova, but that game was played at Texas. So, you know, we're talking about really fine hairs here in terms of the quality of these teams that can fight for that #1 spot.
Yep, and if it gets down to those 2, Ohio State and Memphis, then as Haluska gets the pass from Hansen, and the ball out of bounds, it's going back to Iowa. They would be in the same bracket in theory, the 4th and 5th best team. So, you know, what is the difference if your Memphis is a 1 or your Ohio State is 1? They should be in the same bracket.
You remember Oklahoma State St. Joe's?
Same thing. They were the 4 and 5.
They were the 4 and 5.
And they made it to the final of that regional in the Meadowlands, with Oklahoma State winning at the wire. He walked.
Right now, Iowa is losing an opportunity here to get in control of this ball game with the 2 big men sitting on the bench for Ohio State. They have not been able to get the ball to Brunner where he can operate. And the guy who really has been the star and was yesterday is Sullinger. He's really on both ends of the floor, keeping the ball alive for his team.
You know, with Dials out for a long time, Butler puts up a shot. that's a 2, not a 3. They're up 7. They've gained +7 with Dials out.
That's the third time that Butler, with a little bit of a screen, has been able to get a wide open shot. Nobody hedging and nobody switching on the play.
Well, you can see this timeout coming a moment ago. Thad Matta's team ties his biggest lead. Alford was slumped in his chair, and now he says enough. Timeout. There's Sullinger, 4 for 4 from the field, leading the way with 10 points.
Jim, look at that field goal shooting percentage, 56 by Ohio State. Remember yesterday, and you pointed out, Michigan State had all kinds of problems with field goal shooting. They couldn't do anything. They averaged 28. They got 28% field goal shooting percentage yesterday against this Iowa team. Really a breakdown by Iowa on those 3 baskets that Butler has scored. No switch, no hedge, no help.
Brunner, wow, really fighting for it. And what a defensive effort by Harris, who's given them some good minutes.
He really has, and Harris can afford to foul some if he has to. They're playing very aggressively and not getting called.
Ball out of bounds. We'll go back to Iowa when we come back after this break. Under 4 minutes to go, first half. J.J. Sullinger is on his way to making the all-tournament team at least.
Jim, I think right now he has been the most valuable player in this tournament. Ohio State has had an MVP of the Big Ten tournament, Boban Savovich, back in '02. And they actually had 3 guys on the first team that year. Brian Brown and Brent Darby also made it. So it is not unprecedented, but I would agree with you. I think Sullinger has been the man on both ends of the floor. And he is the one guy, even though, as you pointed out, has 2 fouls, he's staying out on the court. That's how much that Thad Matta thinks he's needed. And look at, he's guarding a 7-footer right now.
Yep, Hansen.
Yep.
Iowa comes out of that double box and bouncing it inside for the layup and the dunk. That was Horner with the assist.
Very nice job by Horner. He's 0 for 5 from the floor, but he's still using that leadership to go ahead and help his teammates. Now Iowa goes doing a bad job in their man-to-man. They go to a 1-2-2 zone. Butler tries to go through it as well.
Harris in the corner.
You have to question that shot.
And it's Horner with the rebound.
You're going up against the zone. Let your shooters get the first chance.
Haluska just inside the 3 and knocks it down. They had gone over 3 minutes without a basket. Now 2 straight successful trips.
That's a good shot by Haluska in terms of getting 2 points, but Jimmy wasn't concentrating. He should have been back behind that 3.
Just a foot inside of it doesn't do you much good.
You get about the same percentage from there, but you get 1 extra point if you make it. So as he saw Horner drive, he should have stepped back. Here's the 1-2-2 zone.
It's Foster. And Haluska pulling it down.
And what Harris set the stage for is to say, let's surround the zone and shoot jump shots. That is really not the answer. They need to get that ball inside.
Look at Freeman with the fadeaway for 2.
Thad Matta might want to call a timeout here. Yes, he does. Want to call a timeout here to understand and get his team to understand what's happening on the defensive end.
Iowa comes out of that last break with 6 unanswered. 3-point game. Coming up, singular at the half with Greg Gumbel, Clark Kellogg, and Seth Davis. Scores and highlights and the latest tournament news on Selection Sunday, and a singular Naismith watch update coming up with singular at the half. How do you like that tie for Coach Matta? Picked out by his 7-year-old daughter Allie and 5-year-old daughter Emily. They each got to pick out one in games leading into the final, and then they shared the role today, picking that for Dad. And there's the jumper and a 3. It goes for Lewis.
Well, I would say if you're going to go ahead and penetrate inside, as Butler did, you want to look outside for Foster and Lewis. Sullinger again guarding a 7-footer.
Over the top and stolen. Pretty good use of a timeout by Matta. They set up a play and get a 3 and a steal.
Absolutely. 4 in the last 6 seasons, he has won 4 regular season championships at 3 different schools. Not bad. And what he has done for about the last 14 minutes or 12 minutes is to play without his star big man in the ballgame and still hang in there.
Horner weaving his way
nice hands.
and dishing to Hansen, too strong. Brunner back it in and almost got a three-point opportunity. You know, those RPI rankings updated daily, and these are the RPI indexes that are used by the NCAA selection committee. It has Duke 1, Villanova 2, and then UConn and Memphis.
And Jim, one of the things, and I know that the committee wants to handle this very delicately, but Allen Ray's eye situation is really critical. That's a team that really works on all cylinders with its guard play. If all of a sudden you said, well, he is not going to be able to play in a tournament, that changes that drastically. I can remember a number of years ago, this very Iowa team had a situation with Luke Recker in the knee. And it kind of said, well, no, we think Recker's going to be back for the NCAA tournament. He really wasn't. And I think that is really a critical situation, and I'm sure very delicately being handled by the committee. Nobody inside this 1-2-2 zone. Everything just surrounded. Sullinger's there, but nobody's looking to get him the ball.
Well, he had that little hot streak, 2 in a row, but now he's missed 3 straight after that.
But the shot looks good. Good elevation on the shot, good follow through.
Iowa can almost hold it all the way down within 3 seconds if they want.
I think they were better off trying to go ahead and go for a field goal right away. You're down 5, try to get 2 possessions.
Ten seconds. Haluska. 3 on the shot clock. Warner has to take it and gets it just in time.
You're talking about senior leadership there. Terrific job by Horner.
That's the end of the first half with the score. Ohio State 37, Iowa 34. Now let's go to Greg Gumbel in New York with Singular at the half. Greg.
Jim, coming up on Singular at the half, all the latest scores and highlights, including Duke holding off Boston College down the stretch to win the ACC championship. Right after this.
Ohio State built a lead of 9 at 34-25, but Iowa closes 9-3 at the end of the half. Here are the Windies' halftime stats and field goal percentages up after yesterday.
Without question, in front court scoring, Iowa leading, and the reason for that is the front court from Ohio State only played 15 out of a possible 40 minutes. Dials only 8 minutes in the first half. Was productive while he was in there, but picked up 2 quick fouls.
Let's take a look at the shot chart here, specifically for J.J. Sullinger and Jeff Horner.
Well, he really put his team on his back. Sullinger, just as he did yesterday, has not missed a shot, 4 for 4. And Horner, who had problems, they said he was 0 for 8 in the first game these two teams played, and is the same way here today until he made that runner right at the end of the half, Jim, to give him his first field goal of the game. 1 for 6 now.
But with 7 assists in that half for Horner.
And no turnovers. So you can always help your ball club out in different ways. Be interesting to see if Iowa comes out in that 1-2-2 zone now that Dials is back into the ball game. So both Sylvester and Dials starting the second half.
Starting with the jumper, and Hansen hits it.
Very nice shot. You know, if you're Hansen, you can pull that again. Maybe a little pump fake, get Dials to come out and try to pick up that 3rd foul on him quickly. So they come back out man to man. They don't go to the zone.
Right back with a call.
No need whatsoever to foul Butler going in there. What is he going to do against Hansen, the #1 shot blocker in the Big Ten? Just keep your hands off him.
Chevrolet, at the end of this game, of course, we'll select our Chevrolet player of the game from each team. $1,000 contribution to each school's general scholarship fund. Chevrolet, America's brand, supporting America's best. That foul was on Brunner, and Butler hits the first free throw. And Jamar, Butler having a fine game.
Having a good game coming off yesterday where he was just 1 for 6, 1 for 5 from 3. Ohio State had real problems on the perimeter yesterday from a shooting standpoint, but he's doing a nice job today. Another pick and roll, but a good job by Sylvester to help out Dials, who's now posted up on Brunner. That ball has to go back inside. He'd love to pick up that 3rd foul.
They tried to do something with it. And Haluska with the three, bouncing around twice, no go.
Dials hit it out of bounds.
Yep, Iowa ball.
It was really Foster who knocked Dials from behind, giving Iowa an opportunity to get that ball back.
Billy, what do you make of Duke's winning the ACC championship today?
Well, as Mike Krzyzewski said, I heard that little interview, to be able to win the regular season and the conference tournament championship once again, just a great accomplishment by that ball club. And everybody shoots at Duke. You know, I mean, they've had such great success for so long a period of time now. Every game they play against anybody, anywhere, they're going to get the best effort every game of the year.
Erek had it going today, 7 of 11 from 3. There's Sullinger's first outside shot of the afternoon.
You have to ask Ohio State, if you've got Dials back in the ball game, wait till he gets in position before you put up shots.
Haluska on the drive, too strong. And over to Foster. Ohio State up 3.
Here they are down the court, but Dials not yet ready. The big guy needs to get into the action now. You have your big man sitting down for 8 minutes. You want to get him offensively into the flow in the second half.
Here's Foster from the corner.
Again, he has not touched the ball offensively. First 2.5 minutes of this half.
Foster now 2 of 9 from the outside from 3. Brunner. Oh, he had a good look. Foster on the drive.
Yeah, that's the problem. Here go. That's what I felt on that last drive by Butler. You've got Hansen back there. Let him go.
Up ahead, it's Henderson.
And Dials couldn't take a chance to go for the block on his end.
All set up by the easy swipe by Hansen at one end. Henderson scoring at the other, and it's a 1-point game.
A Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, #1 shot blocker, just waited for Foster to come down that lane. Ohio State has kind of gotten out of sync here to start this second half.
It feels like it, doesn't it? Butler.
Look at him
Again, the unexpected killer here in this game. Ohio State now 5 of 19 as a team from out there. Stolen by
nice
Butler.
Play defensively.
And it's 4-on-1. Back to Sullinger and 1.
You heard that foul all the way from here. Terrific 3-on-1 break. That's a pretty nice combination on the break. Butler, Foster, and Sullinger all can catch the ball, all are quick, and all can finish. Nice teamwork.
Yeah, that Foster pass was a beauty.
Yep.
Right there.
Beautiful teamwork.
And that's the first foul on Horner.
Not much he could do. A 3-on-1 break, and all 3 of those guys, as I said, really have that ability to finish on that break. This has been the best player in this tournament right here.
How about it? Sylvester comes in for an offensive board. Butler.
That's something that Sullinger and Sylvester were co-players of the year in Ohio coming out of high school. One goes way away from home to originally attend school, and then they come back and are reunited at Ohio State.
Reunited for something special, a regular season title, and trying to back it up with the conference tournament today. Easy shot for Hansen.
You know, Hansen last year he had 8 games where he never scored a point. This year he had a 20-point game against Minnesota. He's had a 13-point game against Michigan State. Much better all-around player.
Sylvester dishes, Dials, Hansen on the foul. And as you said, Billy, Defensive Player of the Year in the Big Ten, Hansen, and the leading shot blocker. Sullinger, all smiles at the moment. His Buckeyes leading 44-40. An hour and 18 minutes to go till we reveal the brackets. First up, they'll show us the #1 seeds. They use these RPIs. This is from their index. Big Ten rated the best. Big East. Some are saying the ACC may not have as many teams in the tournament as the Missouri Valley Conference.
Jim, one of the things that is really not given any consideration, but something I think is going to have to change, and that is this. How do teams perform over a 5-year period from various conferences in the NCAA tournament? You've got to give some weight to a 5-year period of time. And when you start talking about these power conferences, they're a reason why they basically make the slots up for the Sweet 16.
Yep.
And obviously the Final Four. But when you start talking about Sweet 16, those conferences basically control it.
Hansen with the jumper.
2 in a row. I think what he needs to try to do, and I know it's not his game, maybe to put it down on the floor, try to get that third foul on Dials.
Over the top, here is Dials, and he says no.
Great play by Hansen. And somebody is open.
The corner, and he cashes in on the 3.
Well, you had 2 on the floor down on the other end. One of the 2 big men had to be open because Iowa big men really hustled back down the floor. That was some defensive play. You can see why he was selected #1 defensive player in the league.
Over the top, and Dials on the back of Horner, no call.
That could have been a foul.
And Iowa with a chance to tie or take. Oh, no, right back comes Butler.
First turnover of the game for Horner. Terrific hands by Foster.
Haluska on the foul, but here was the block by Hansen.
A perfect pass. You got to figure if you're Dials, there's no way that's going to be stopped. And look at the recovery by Hansen. Wow.
It's the third on Haluska. Sends Butler for 2.
Well, it was Sullinger yesterday for this Ohio State team. Today it's been Butler, the offensive man.
Yep. The Butler doing it. You know, that number 14, it reminds me a little bit today the way he's been driving and playing. Reminds me of Jamar Nelson a few years back.
And I don't want to put him in that caliber as an overall player.
He's looking
today he's the difference was Nelson did it every day. Yep. You know, when you look at this Ohio State team, Jim, in terms of balance, Dials is at 15 points a game. You got Foster at 12, then you've got Lewis off the bench at 10. They basically have 5 guys that are right at 10 points a game or more. Nobody really outstanding way on up there above 15, but there's really nice balance here.
They're playing an almost error-free game. The Buckeyes only 3 turnovers on the game. The lob, tough pass into Thomas, and too strong on the reverse layup.
Boy, that lob was thrown against traffic. Normally when you can get that cross-court lob, you've cleared out an area. A lot of bodies were there.
Sylvester baseliner, in and out. And Thomas taking it back for Iowa.
Thomas has played some solid minutes for Iowa in this tournament.
He has. He looks like a player. And a foul could be the 3rd on Sylvester.
Well, it could go Butler, Sylvester. We'll see who gets it.
It's Sylvester, number 3. Tomorrow on CBS, don't miss the premiere of Julia Louis-Dreyfus's new comedy, The New Adventures of Old Christine, along with new episodes of The King of Queens, 2.5 Men, and CSI Miami, plus David Letterman on America's #1 network.
Jim, when Horner felt that pulling down on the arm by Sylvester, it might not have been a bad job. Instead of trying to pass that, to shoot that at the basket, maybe he could have gone to the line.
Well, Sylvester, you saw him, retreats to the bench with 3, and there's the floater that went right before the half, and here again, too, for Horner.
Well, Horner hasn't been able to get anything going outside, but he's been smart enough to take that ball inside with penetration. Lewis into the ball game now, a score, and look at Dials is looking for that lob pass. Hansen not on the floor. Dials figured that he can post him up and throw it over the top. He's got him.
Brunner. Did he call timeout in time? No.
Didn't quite get there. I think that foot was out of bounds.
Yep, and it's back to Ohio State. They got 10 on the shot clock here. And we got an official down.
Fell at the end of the court.
It's Eddie Hightower.
Yes. One of the truly outstanding gentlemen that work as an official in the country.
No, one of the absolute best and one of the great guys at college basketball. He gets walloped.
Gets hit, doesn't he? But this is a real quality fellow right here. Water.
He's a bit dazed, but he's going to stay in there. They got Mike Sanzier over across the way, Billy, as the backup official today. He worked yesterday's semifinal.
He's going to think about it. Somebody said, does he need water? He'd like air after getting hit like he did. Looks like he's going to hang in here. He's walking all right. There's some big bodies out there that took a lick at him.
All right,
Jim, the key here is there's 10 seconds left on the clock. Many times, all 5 guys don't understand that, but Thad Matta's had plenty of time.
Sullinger chases it down.
See, he wasted about 3 seconds there waiting for Butler. They may work it out anyway.
Doesn't matter. Butler says it is my day.
Is that how Thad Matta drew that play up?
I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. Sullinger really gave up a couple of seconds. Butler has been the case all day long, bails his team out.
He's got 17 on the game. Corner, fade away. Not this time. Dials with the good box. So Iowa 3 times in the half gets the lead down to 1. The Ohio State lead down to 1, but the Buckeyes come back, and not this time for Butler.
Well, Butler, you know, has had a 20-point game against Michigan and a 22-point game against Illinois. 2 premier teams in the Big Ten. And he's had 20-point games against them, so certainly capable. That's why I was talking about the balance on this team. Sullinger on Brunner.
Take a look at that matchup. Skip pass. Henderson steps up for the open 2 and delivers.
Really nice pump fake on that skip pass. Foster came out, wasn't sitting down. Really good job by Henderson to get him up in the air. Surprised Sullinger doesn't take.
Here you go.
I thought he'd do. I thought he'd take him with a dribble. That's very good recognition on his part. Very smart play.
Chance for a 3-point play. Well, some of the hot teams going into the tournament. Gonzaga with an 18-game win streak. Nevada 14 straight. Hey, Carolina, Wilmington. Billy, we saw them up in defending champion Maryland. Remember that a few years ago?
Will I ever?
Almost. They didn't quite pull it off. They had them, and then back came Drew Nicholas to hit the winner for Maryland.
Right on running, right out to the
right out of the arena.
And remember the young man, the name
Goldsberry.
Yeah,
he was a freshman. He's still there.
He averaged 3 points a game going into that. And what did he hit? 9 threes that day, or 8
threes? He was 8 for 8.
Yeah,
it was 8 for 8. Now he's a senior, but they had him beat. And Maryland came back and won it from just inside the midcourt stripe with Drew Nicholas running right out of the arena.
Well, I remember him hitting his shot and just kept right on trucking.
So the Seahawks are coming back to the NCAAs this year. They earned it. They won their conference tournament.
Haluska trying to post up inside. Nice pump fake.
Yep, that shot partially blocked and into the arms of Foster.
A good decision by Foster. Lewis had broken. He held it up. Ohio State team is really well drilled. Thad Matta, an outstanding coach.
Sullinger, he was hitting those outside shots yesterday. Everything inside for him today, but
well, I think that he should recognize he can take these bigger men off the dribble. Here he goes, loses it.
Iowa ball with a timeout on the floor. 5-point Buckeye lead with 11 minutes left in the Big Ten championship.
Here's good spacing for the offense, but not the defense. Look at Foster. Now, here's his man way over here. What's going to happen is Henderson's going to go down. Then we're going to see the situation where the ball is going to be thrown cross court, and Foster cannot get to his man in time. He gets there late, has to go up in the air, little pump fake, easy shot.
Well, it's Iowa ball coming out of the break. That Buckeye turnover right before they left the floor. Their first turnover in 16 minutes of action. Inside Haluska, and it's a 3-point game. They've come from behind, Iowa, And both wins here in the Big Ten tournament in the second half.
Jim Haluska going and posting up down inside. Now here we see what was very effective in the first half for Iowa. Now they go into a 2-3 zone. They showed a 1-2-2 zone and a 2-3 zone in the first half as well. And with Butler out of the ball game right now, the #1 shooting man, that's a beautiful feed inside. The #1 shooting man sitting on the bench right now.
Well, that was Foster, who really had a chance to launch the three, but drove in and dished to Dials for the basket.
Well, in the first half, that zone worked out very well for Iowa. Got them back in a ball game when it looked like they were having all kinds of problems. Remember those drives by Butler?
Back-to-back trips down the floor. Haluska feeds it. Thomas over Dials, and that's number three, indeed.
But he's gone 10 minutes before he picked up that third.
What about the Ohio State defense today?
Solid as usual. This team is fundamentally really well coached. Thad Matta has done a good job every place from a defensive standpoint. And as I said before, probably the best thing about them is their balance.
So again, 3 on Dials, and the first Hawkeye to the line other than Brunner today. Thomas for 2. Really, I got to ask you, Steve Alford. A lot of speculation he could be the next coach at Indiana with Mike Davis stepping down. What do you think?
What I do think is that he has handled himself unbelievably well during this period of time, as has Mike Davis. Both of them have shown tremendous professionalism here. And I think that maybe Indiana has as well, from a standpoint of not getting into all the speculation issues. So he's coaching this team. One of the things about it, remember we saw Roy Williams going through somewhat the same situation a couple of years ago, and particularly when you've got a senior ball club, guys that you've been responsible for, you really have to lock in, and I think Steve has done that extremely well.
That's the only way you can do it right now. Only way you can play it is his team comes up with a steal. It's Henderson, and Butler reached in.
Probably a pretty good foul.
And they'll inbound underneath. But when you have a chance with the seniors, with these kids, these homegrown kids, to really do something in the NCAA tournament that could be memorable, you can't even think about the other option, if it is, in fact, one day an option.
And he is certainly a very special person in Indiana, one of the greatest high school players in the history of the state, without question, one of the greatest players ever to play at IU. So there is reasonable speculation that he'd have to be in the hunt.
It's pretty easy to connect those dots, isn't it?
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
He left the school as the leading scorer at Indiana, leading man from a standpoint of steals, and also the leading free throw shooter. So he has, and led them to the national championship. So that's speaks pretty highly of him as a player, and obviously he has been outstanding as a coach.
Also helped his country win a gold medal in the '84 Olympics.
Coming off his freshman year.
Sylvester tried to check out baseline, but Thomas cut that off. 9 minutes to play, 4-point Ohio State lead. Threatened a number of times this half, but never relinquishing the lead.
Down to 4 seconds, but the ball's in the hands of the right guy.
Butler, one more time.
Of course, the ball is in the hands of the right guy.
Who was worried?
He has been the man today.
He's got 11.5-19 for the game. Corner pinned in.
He has been the Butler.
Yes, he has. Doing it and did it. Underneath. And Sylvester calling a timeout. You could see him mouthing it, but they say a tie-up. The arrow does belong to Ohio State. So no timeout granted, but the Buckeyes get it on the arrow. Everything you need to fill out your brackets is on CBS Sportsline. I imagine there'll be a few folks doing that in the coming days. From printable brackets to the latest news, it's all there. Just click on brackets at cbssportsline.com.
If you're Iowa right now, you have got to build some defensive momentum here. The game's down to that point where unless you can make a move, Ohio State's just going to build on this.
And it's going back to Iowa.
And there is the kind of play you have to make to get some possessions and don't allow this trading basket situation to take place.
You know, Brunner, Billy, has not scored in this half. He is not 100%. Those at Iowa will tell you he doesn't want to really harp on it, but on senior day, March the 4th, he got injured with about 3 minutes to go in that game. Turned an ankle. And not posting his usual numbers, but a solid 4-year man at Iowa. And shut out in this half to this point. It's Horner, and beautiful move this time, driving on Butler.
How about Horner realizing that his shot's not going well for him the last 2 days, although he had a great game to start off this Big Ten tournament. But he has taken the ball inside. He was 6 for 9 threes in that ball game against, in the first game against Minnesota. 26 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 steals. But the shot has left him the last 2 days.
9 assists for Horner now. Down low, it's Lewis. And the foul on Iowa.
Lewis is just like a starter on the offensive end of the floor. Really can put up some numbers.
7:29 left in the Big Ten title game. Ohio State leads. Does that mean 60 minutes, Billy? Coming up next? No, actually, it's coming up after the selection show. That's the clock for the countdown. The Madness, 57 minutes away. Here on CBS, the exclusive live first announcement of the 2006 tournament field coming up. We got Lewis at the line, and it was Horner on the foul, just his second.
Lewis with 2 solid games in this tournament off the bench, 6 for 10. He was 4 for 7 from 3, 17 points in that first game, that win over Penn State, and then a very solid 8 points yesterday.
Ohio State, Billy, is an athletic department pulling off something pretty special this year. It's never been done before in the Big Ten. They won the Big Ten football, actually shared it with Penn State. Won the football league, won both men's and women's regular season basketball titles. That set of 3 had never been done before. And now they're going for the tournament title. That's Brunner. And first, a foul outside, no basket.
Boy, he wanted that continuation on that play. Sylvester's going to pick up another foul. Steve Alford said, hey, my man was driving to the basket. He should get credit for the shot.
4 on Sylvester, and Foster's returning for him.
But that probably is not a big a problem. Sylvester's been able to play some minutes here. You still have Dials on the floor.
Corner to Brunner, and this time again it's going to be taken away, this time for a charge. So Brunner makes 2 baskets on that trip, but both don't count.
Well, one of the things about Dials, as I pointed out, despite his size, despite the fact he's Big Ten Player of the Year, he only blocked 31 shots on the year. So when you're going in there against him, he's going to play to stay on the ground and draw charges and not block. So if you're Brunner, you've got to pull up and take the jumper on that move.
Draws the 3rd on Brunner.
Real good patience here by Ohio State.
Lewis. And tipped around to Haluska. Pull up 3. Corner, yes. Down to 2.
And there's the difference. Lewis on the floor, as I said, he brings them a lot of offense, but you can't go to sleep on the defensive end. Horner was spying up that shot from the time he crossed half court. I like what Thomas is doing in this ball game off the bench too. You know what? Playing right with Dials.
Yep. Big body on big body. Oh, the pass wide of the mark for Foster.
Those were valuable minutes that Thomas played. Henson into the ball game now. Good job off the bench.
Get NCAA March Madness on demand and watch live tournament games from your computer outside of your viewing area for free. Reserve your free VIP ticket now at ncaasports.com/MMOD.
And they are going to try to set up something special now for Brunner. There he is, low post.
Ohio State wise to it.
Look who, the reason for that, Sullinger's guarding him. They figured they could get him something down low. There's reach in by Foster.
That's only the 5th team foul on Ohio State.
What Steve Alford is doing is saying, my guys are in the act of shooting, but that would have been a little bit of a stretch on that one.
Still chagrined by the whole Brunner denial. a basket and a free throw the last time down, then the charge called.
See if they go back to the play to try to get Brunner down inside with Sullinger on him. And if Dials is looking to help out a lot, then you have a chance for Hansen to get that easy basket and a cross-court pass.
This for the lead.
There's Hansen, weak side, but a good job by Dials.
And off the hands of Dials. Boy, you think of that combination, Brunner and Horner. They grew up 30 miles apart. Brunner from Charles City, Iowa. Horner from Mason City, the central northern reaches of Iowa. They would love as a reach in is called on Dials, and that's his fourth.
Great job by Hansen. Coming in behind him, the two big men playing inside out, high-low post. Terrific job.
Saw the Horner and Brunner families for a moment there. Dials has to go out with the 4, and Sylvester with 4 is on the floor.
This is going to be interesting now. Thad Matta is going to have to Sylvester it for a few minutes before he can get Dials back in there. Both in serious foul trouble.
Did you say Sylvester it? Like a verb? Okay. Works for me. That's off the hands of Sylvester. 5 minutes to go. This has been a good one.
Yeah, I like what I was doing right now. They're going to make that inside game work. And they've got an assist man out here who already holds the Iowa Big Ten record and has matched it today.
Brunner in the paint. He lost control of it.
Oh, did a smart thing. He put it on the rim.
Tapped in by Hansen for the tie.
Jim, he knew he lost control of that ball, put it up on the backboard, and then immediately went and got it himself. Quite a play.
Only option he had to keep it alive.
Absolutely.
And we're knotted at 57. On the floor, the foul first called on Brunner. And for Brunner, he's in trouble now. That's 4 for him.
See that? He threw that ball up on the backboard and then just went and got it.
Again, that's 4 on Brunner.
Now, what do you do? What do you do if you're Steve Alford? You've got 4:40 to go. They have put Dials down on the bench with 4. You leave him in there?
Looks like that's the strategy. I've noticed a couple of times his dad's so nervous up in the stands, his father Tom, sitting through all this excitement while Horner's father right in front of him has been standing. He can't sit. And there is Brunner's dad.
One's a farmer.
And there's Mr. Just
one's
right
a
on
farmer, the other one's a coach.
Yep.
So what would you expect?
Timeout. Iowa. Game tied. See any reason here, Billy, why we're tied?
No, there's a reason why we're at 57 all. Look at those stats almost right down the line.
Yep.
And now the one other stat that's really important, 2 key inside men, both sitting on the bench with 4 fouls. Which team can get some production out of their replacements? And in the case, Alex Thompson in the ball game now for Iowa.
And
oh,
Thompson
boy!
Dishing, Horner. Iowa leads. First lead since 12-10.
What a great situation by Steve Alford. Sets up, makes the substitution, sets up a specific play that works perfectly.
Horner now has 14 points, 12 coming in this half. His only basket in the first half was right at the buzzer.
And just about all of them been inside the paint.
Sullinger knocked down, no call. Thompson.
Oh, Thompson, how about that move off the bench? He made the perfect pass. He's gotten the defensive rebound.
Yep, an assist and a rebound, and Iowa with the ball in the lead. Ohio State, meanwhile, 5 minutes without a field goal.
Well, when Iowa won their first and only championship, they beat Ohio State in the second round. Ohio State was a number 3 that year, and they won the championship by 2 points over Indiana. So same type of game. Is he going to make another play?
How about another assist? Nope. Henderson driving in the paint.
Tough shot.
Yep, going away in the other direction, and Buckeyes push it up.
There's Lewis.
Lewis stuck for a moment and pays for it.
Boy, he went 1 on 3 on that drive. Nothing there at all. And Dials sitting on the side. I think that's a good move by Thad Matta. Bring your ace back into this ball game. Take the chance that he can stay out of foul trouble. Wow.
tips.
Wow.
Point. Oh, what a sub.
Wow! He makes an assist, gets a rebound, hits a shot, and you say to your assistant coaches, nice idea.
And Brunner, the man he replaced, had to sit with the 4 fouls. This is the first to run out and jump in his arms. 10-point run by the Hawkeyes. Each team with 3 timeouts. 6'9" sophomore Alex Thompson from Ames, Iowa, comes in for Brunner, gets the assist, a rebound, and a 3.
Jim, I want to say something. I watched that Iowa timeout when they had to make that move, and Steve Alford talking to his assistant coaches, and he pointed over, bring him in. That's where those huddles sometimes really pay off. Foster almost got by with a push-off.
Sylvester, that one rimmed in and out. Dials on the floor, and it's Iowa ball. And now we got the official timeout at 2:33 to go. Been a lot of emotion expended in this one for the Big Ten championship. And the selection show coming up on CBS. 41 minutes and change to go. But what a change here in momentum. And here's the CBS Sports Line stat of the game. Field goals this half. And complete game stats available at CBSSportsLine.com. Iowa ball.
Well, Ohio State, who had been so good with the ball throughout this game and tournament, 6 turnovers in the last 8 possessions. Nice pressure. It's nice to have a big man that can go back and help you get the ball up the court. Veteran team out there on the floor right now, Jim.
Just working that clock. Yep. With that 5-point lead. Now under 10 on the shot. Horner having a huge half. Puts it up.
Yes. Has he scored anything that's outside the paint? The answer is no.
The kid who
unbelievable
committed to Iowa when he was a high school freshman. Doing something special as a senior.
What did he say? I was always a Hawkeye.
Yep. Saw him last night. Butler squeezes it in. Dials going to the line for a 3-point shot.
Haluska with a cheap foul. You might as well let the big guy have it and not get him on the line.
Iowa foul ball number 1 at Haluska.
Immediately after this game, before the selection show, the road to the Final Four powered by Pontiac. Greg, Clark, and Seth with a review of the day and the latest tournament news coming up after the Big Ten title game. And that's a 3-point play indeed for Dials. That breaks a 12-0 Iowa run.
But Jim, you don't want to put them on the foul line. Here again, Brunner coming back to help bring the ball up the court.
He got it by with about a second to spare.
So a couple of things that does. It takes the defensive guards from Ohio State down the floor. So they're not out there to double team.
Haluska. Back out high, Henderson. 3 on the shot clock. Has to take it. Fade away, no. Brunner tips. Dials takes it.
Twice now that Henderson has had to take an awkward shot.
Under a minute to play.
Plenty of time.
2 best teams in the Big Ten in the regular season battling for the conference championship.
A good call by Thad Matta. His team kind of disorganized right there. They've got plenty of time. 2-possession game.
Thad Matta takes the timeout, and now State Farm presents the drive to 65. 1989, 3-seed Michigan overcoming all odds. Makes it to the championship game out in Seattle against Seton Hall. The game went to overtime with 3 seconds left. Ramil Robinson sank 2 free throws, giving Michigan the lead over the Pirates and the win. And that was the drive to 65 presented by State Farm. And, well, Michigan on the bubble, and some say even Seton Hall on the bubble.
Well, you know, that Michigan team was a little bit on the bubble. They got rid of their coach right before the NCAA tournament. Remember Bo Schembechler saying, I'll give Steve Fisher a shot? And boy, they just got it rolling. And Glenn Rice, who probably had as fine a tournament from an offensive standpoint as anybody that's ever played in the NCAA tournament, just lit it up and Each game in that tournament, they got better and better and beat what I thought was the best team in the country that year in Illinois in the semifinals, an Illinois team that had beaten them twice in the regular season.
So Modak takes the timeout. Now his team ready to go. He told his team this week, you have earned the right to wear the bullseye. You know, as the #1 seed, they would like a #1 seed in the NCAA tournament as well.
Well, you know, 5 times this conference has sent 2 teams to the Final Four. That happened to be one of them there. It's a possibility again this year.
10 seconds on the shot clock. Sylvester, so clutch so often. And a foul called on Ohio State.
I think it's going to be Sullinger, isn't it?
It is. And for Sullinger, that's number 3. Boy, he played a lot of the first half with 2 and goes a long ways without picking up a third until now. But it's a 1-1 at the other end.
And Jimmy, you're talking about 2 teams in the Final Four. Both Iowa got there in 1980 along with Purdue. They faced each other in what used to be the consolation game back in those days. Joe Barry Carroll being the key player in that ball game to win for Purdue. And then, of course, Ohio State got there with Michigan State in '99.
Although that 99 Final Four not really being recognized as of Friday, when the NCAA this week came back with a final ruling on some self-imposed penalties and some violations from 99 to 02. They're making them take that Final Four banner down. They're on a 3-year probation, but does not affect their ability to play postseason. And they're trying to clarify the shooter here. So the officials over to monitor, trying to figure out Sullinger fouled exactly which Hawkeye.
Well, do you want to have your choice? I think it's Brunner. What would you say? Is that Haluska? Haluska, yeah.
It's Haluska.
Yep, should be.
Now Haluska,
84% free throw shooter, so you'd like to have him on the line if you're Steve Alford. He's
again,
the number 4 free throw shooter in the conference. And by far and away the best free throw shooter on this team. Has not had a big tournament, but like all of these guys with all of this experience on this Iowa team, solid when you need him.
Iowa would love to find itself in the Minneapolis bracket when the field is announced. That's about a 4-hour drive from campus. Corner and Brunner grew up about right in the middle of those two, campus and Minneapolis.
Well, last year they got in the NCAA tournament, but came home early. That loss to Cincinnati.
Right here in Indy, and Sylvester short. Tie up, Arrow, Iowa.
Iowa possession.
25 seconds to play.
Well, you've got to get into a foul mode right now if you're Ohio State. It's a 2-possession game.
Timeout called by Steve Alford in Iowa. Another second half comeback to lead by 6. Iowa took that timeout, and Iowa has the ball with the 6-point lead.
Jim, let me ask you a question. With 25.3 seconds and 6 down, do you think that the committee has said Ohio State has worked their way out of a #1 seed?
Well, it could be. You know, it could have had Ohio State on that one line, given that this is the highest rated conference by computer by the RPI.
Well, we're going to find out in a matter of a few seconds in terms of the outcome of this game, and then a few minutes in regard to whether they felt that way. And you know, this is something that I think all teams need to work on more on the college level. You look out on the floor, who's playing. The last guy you want to catch the ball is the best free throw shooter from the other team. So double team him and make them throw to somebody else, because you know you're going to foul immediately. Who do they get the foul? Haluska, the best free throw shooter.
But the coaching on the other side is, let's do something, run a screen, and get the ball inbound.
But don't worry about it. Double team him all the way, even on a screen. Make them throw it to somebody else.
Still a 1-and-1 for Haluska after just hitting 2. And that's 3 straight.
Of course, who Iowa would like to have on the foul line is Steve Alford.
Yes, right.
He could probably go out there in a coat and tie and shoot 90%. Too. Yep.
Haluska, not that time. But it's a 3-possession game. 20 seconds left. Butler. And Brunner has it. He's going to the line for a one-on-one. It looks like it's Iowa's day here in Indianapolis.
Steve Alford continues to win. We said he's the winningest coach in Big Ten history in terms of this tournament. With 12 wins, this will be number 13.
Saw Brunner's father with his arms raised. Still 1-1.
Alford's father, a coach as well. Sam, who worked with him on his staff for so long.
Oh, pulled down by Sullinger.
Just want no foul here if you're Iowa.
Haluska and Ohio State backing off now. Iowa wins the Big Ten tournament. Hawkeyes have their day at the Big Ten.
Number 2 seed. They showed they deserved a high seed.
And a high seed next week.
Absolutely.
And who knows? Like I said, Billy, maybe Memphis just moved up to the 1 line if they didn't have it already.
I think that put a lock on it. I really do.
No question.
Yeah, I think that Memphis has got to be on that number 1 line.
Today's Chevrolet players of the game, Jeff Horner, a double-double, 16 points, 10 assists. Jamar Butler for the Buckeyes in recognition of the determination and outstanding play. Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each school's general scholarship fund. It'll be interesting to ask, and we'll have that chance to ask Craig Littlepage later, did this game impact them? We'll have that selection show coming up later. We got the road to the Final Four powered by Pontiac first. It's been fun, Billy. More to come.
Absolutely, and it's just getting started.
Bring it on for Billy Packer. This is Jim Nantz, along with Bob Deacons, Bob Fishman, the whole crew here saying so long from Indianapolis. Iowa has won the Big Ten. CBS on our 25th road to the Final Four.
We welcome you back to our New York studios and the road to the Final Four, powered by Pontiac. Coming up in less than a half an hour from now at 6 Eastern Time, CBS Sports brings you the exclusive live announcement of the tournament seedings and pairings on the NCAA Basketball Championship Selection Show. Meanwhile, the Big Ten Championship in Indianapolis, the Iowa Hawkeyes prevailed 67-60 over Ohio State. Let's go back to Indianapolis. Jim Nantz and Billy Packer are standing by. Jim.
All right, thank you, Greg. And we have a happy bunch of Hawkeyes here right now, the Big Ten champions. What a validating win this is for you and your team. A gutty performance, Steve.
Our seniors have been terrific all year, and their leadership's been unbelievable. And we had some upperclassmen step up and really play some big roles tonight. So couldn't be more happy for these young men.
You know, all 3 games here at the tournament, you guys came from behind in the second half. What does that say about this squad?
Well, they've been resilient. They've been a resilient group. They've been very consistent. And in the end, it took us a while, but in the end, it was our defense, I think, in the last 10 minutes that came to the front again.
What do you hope for when the selection show comes up here in a few minutes? What would you like to see happen with this team?
Well, nothing against CBS, but I hope we miss it. I hope we're still celebrating and cutting down nets, and somebody just tells us where we're going.
Good. And what I want to ask is, where is Alex Thompson? Huh?
Good job.
What a substitution! Nice going, guys.
Yeah, that was some hug you had for him. Greg, Jeff, all the seniors, congratulations to you all. Steve Alford and Iowa, the champions of the Big Ten. Greg Gumbel, back to you in New York.
All right, thank you very much, Jim and Billy. So the Iowa Hawkeyes are winners. Let's find out who else are winners here. But first of all, the Hawkeyes, very impressive. You were thinking that the Buckeyes were playing pretty well so far.
They were playing well, but Iowa has been tough defensively all season long, and they were the team that made the timely three-point shots that I thought Ohio State might make in this game today, and that really was the difference, their defense and the timely three-point shooting, which allowed them to come from.
The first time the Hawkeyes won the Big Ten tournament, many people said everything broke their way. Not this time. They had to go through conference champion Ohio State. Steve Alford doing his best coaching as speculation swirls about his future. Second half, great Iowa defense. Erek Hansen with a block on Terence Dials leads to Jeff Horner for 3. Got it. Hawks down 2, 45-43. Tied when Alex Thompson of Ames throws down low to Horner. and Iowa leads 59-57. Great pass. Moments later, Thompson hits the shot of his life. The wing three deflates Ohio State, and Iowa shows off the Big Ten tourney trophy after knocking off the Buckeyes 67-60. Channel 13's Andy Fales watched it all courtside, and he has more from Indianapolis.
The Hawkeyes have something figured out. Another day of armor-plated defense. Another second-half comeback. Jeff Horner starts the nail off the inside feed. Then Alex Thompson drives it home.
Jeff made a really good pass to me in the corner. I was open. I just kind of caught it in rhythm and shot it without even thinking anything, and it just went in for me. So
the Hawks nabbed the Big Ten tournament title by topping the one team which edged them in the conference race. All the sweeter.
They took it in the regular season. They went through a grind, and they got it there, and they beat us by a game, and we got them here tonight.
It would take a pretty old Hawkeye fan to remember a better day in Iowa basketball history, and everyone here in Indianapolis seemed to drink it all in.
Of course, it was a two-folded party, one for the tournament title and another for landing a 3 seed in the NCAA, enough to make some of the Hawks look like they'd just been handed another birthday.
I'd be surprised if I can sleep tonight. When it feels like Christmas, you really can't go to bed. You're too excited.
I was sitting there. I saw come up as a 3 seed, and I'm shocked again. It's just like continuous shocks to my system right now. And, I mean, hopefully we can add a couple more in the next couple of weeks.
We're 25 wins. We're number 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. It's been a very special journey, and we're going to take the next 2 days and enjoy it. That's why I'm glad we play on Friday, because we'll probably need till Monday or so, maybe even Tuesday, to start thinking about the NCAA.
Next stop, Auburn Hills, to begin a road that could eventually lead back here to Indianapolis. Andy Fales, Channel 13 Sports.
As Andy said, the Hawkeyes earn a 3 seed, their highest spot since 1987. They're headed to Auburn Hills, Michigan in the Atlanta Regional. Iowa will be a heavy favorite against the Northwestern State Demons. Iowa plays Friday, no time announced yet, and then, if the Hawks win, again on Sunday. They then play West Virginia or Southern Illinois. Not a bad path to the Sweet 16. Here's reaction from the Hawkeye locker room.
That's why I call it March Madness. I mean, we can't think that we're better than this team just because we're seeded that way. I mean, it's all type of upsets that happened last year. There's probably a lot of upsets happened this year, so we definitely got to go in level-headed and just be ready to compete.
We know we're definitely not going to take anything lightly. So we know what happened last year, and we're definitely motivated for this year.
Will the Hawkeyes make it to the Sweet 16? That's tonight's Sound-Off survey at WHOTV.com. And don't miss What's Bugging Andy from Indianapolis. This one's a classic. It's also coming up next. We haven't forgotten Northern Iowa, but for a while it seemed like the selection committee did. UNI is one of the last teams to find out it's in. The Panthers earn a 10 seed in the Minneapolis region. They'll play Georgetown Friday in Dayton, Ohio. The Cyclones started the year in the top 25, but they didn't make the tournament. And by that, I mean National Invitation Tournament. The NIT doesn't invite Iowa State. The Cyclones did not play well down the stretch. They suffered from long lapses of terrible defense and had to play catch-up a few too many times. Head coach Wade Morgan and athletics director Jamie Pollard both expressed disappointment tonight at being left out, but remind fans they have 5 starters returning from a team that won 16 games. And Sound Off is coming up in a few minutes. Should be a very spirited evening.
I can only imagine. Andy's Spirit with us all the way from Indianapolis.
Yes, he will make a couple appearances in the show.
All right, thanks, Keith. We'll be right back.
Big Ten championship in Indiana. He's a homer. Senior Jeff leading the Hawkeyes into the title game. Second half, Buckeyes up. J.J. Sullinger.
4-on-1.
4-on-1. That's some great ball movement. Buckeyes up 6, looking good. On their way to a Big Ten title.
Look at that matchup.
We'll see. 49-45, Mike Henderson. Iowa cuts it to 2. Next play, Sugar, we're going down swinging. Sullinger, and 1. Buckeyes on top by 5 after the free throw. Here come the Hawkeyes, down by 5. Horner said, quote, "It was tough getting loose. Hit that 3. He was 2 of 8 behind the arc. The team was 7 of 17. Iowa threatens again. Brunner down low, tough off the glass. Erek Hansen finishes. We are tied. Iowa up by 2. Jeff Horner, Alex Thompson, the sophomore from Ames. His only attempt was that 3. Winner, winner. Big Ten chicken dinner. Hawkeyes are champs.